Hello, everybody. Also, today, let's continue with questions of the day news rewind. Yesterday, we discussed, there was a good response for that. So, like to continue that every day. Now, let's see the questions which have been framed on the national dairies today. So, let's see all these questions. Now, the first question, you have seen the news on the National Seed Congress. So, the first question which has been framed by me includes what? Which one of the following statement is incorrect? The 13th edition of National Seed Congress concluded at Varanasi. This Congress resolved to work on innovative technologies and will focus on hybrid and biofortified crops. Direct seeded rice uses more water and zero tillage farming disturbs the soil less. There are four options. What do you think? The correct option is what? The correct option is C. This one, C. And why C as such? C. Because direct seeded rice uses more water, that is wrong. It uses less water than the traditional method of the planting saplings as such, transferring of saplings. So it takes less water compared to that method. Zero tillage is what? Zero tillage does not harm the soil. But when we talk about biofortified crops, biofortified crops are those crops in which the nutrient content has been enhanced. When you study biotechnology, you will study in that it can be done by it can be a GM crop, genetically modified crop through by the means of which biofortification can be conducted. It can be through the process of extrusion that biofortification can be conducted. Remember, there was a development in India where fortified rice was developed. And fortified rice was developed by DBT, that is Department of Biotechnology, and the IIT Kharagpur. Because a number of school children, roughly 70% of school children in India suffer from anemia. So extrusion was used, and in this rice, what they did was they took the rice. First of all, broken rice was taken. It was made in the form of rice flour. Nutrients, vitamins were added, and then it was made in the form of a dough, and through an extruder machine, it was cut in the shape of rice grains. This was mixed with normal rice. This was dried and mixed with normal rice in the ratio of 1:100, and that was called as fortified rice. So there was no case of genetic alteration in that. So it can be through genetic alteration. It cannot be through genetic alteration also. That is called as fortified rice. So remember this. It lays stress on, focuses on hybrid and biofortified crops as such. Let's look into the second question. The second question is, consider the following statements. This article is today in the news, in the Hindu also. Article 311 relates to dismissal, removal, and reduction in the rank of a person employed in civil capacities under the union or the state. That's the first statement. Second statement is Article 311 Clause 2 states that no such person can be dismissed, removed, or reduced in rank except after an inquiry. When a post is abolished, although permanent post it can be, Article 311 Clause 2 won't be attracted, won't be applicable. See, all the three statements are correct. First of all, the correct answer is all the three. You can look into the Constitution of India. This is exactly given like that. An abolition of post, whether it is permanent, does not mean that an inquiry should be conducted for punishment of misconduct as such. That is not the inference. That's why the statement third would be also correct. So all the three statements are correct, and this is much in the news. Why? Because the parties in Jammu and Kashmir, although we don't have to go into controversial issues, the parties in Jammu and Kashmir, they are protesting against the decision taken by the Lieutenant Governor, and the decision was to remove 2 persons from service. So they are protesting against it. And in that case, Article 311 of the Constitution has been mentioned. So you can look into the newspaper today, and this you can find. The reference can be seen. Let's see the third question. Which one of the following statement is incorrect? The center has asked the states and UTs, urging them that snake bite cases and deaths be considered as notifiable disease. If a disease falls under this title, it is mandatory for all government and private health agencies to report all suspected probable cases and deaths of this disease. The sight of a snake bite cannot indicate whether the snake was poisonous or not. And poisonous snake, king cobra, is the only snake is the only snake known to build a nest. You can see the statement which is wrong is C. Because the sight of snake bite can be used to identify whether the snake was poisonous or not. Because if suppose there are two punctures like this, surrounded by small punctures, this is suppose the site of the bite. It means that these two punctures have been caused by what? Fangs. Fangs. And fangs are what? Fangs are nothing but poisonous teeth, which is connected to the poisonous gland of the snake. So definitely the sight of a snake, or the sight may sometimes be also indicative of whether the snake is poisonous, because the sight may change color. It can turn red, it can get swollen also. So this statement is C is incorrect, and the other statements are definitely correct. Snake bite is a big concern, growing concern these days in India. Let's see the next question as such. Consider the following statements and select the correct code. Sickle cell anemia is an inherited disease. In this disease, red blood cells become hard and sticky and take the shape of a C-shaped farm tool. Odisha leads the country in the prevalence of this disease. See, all the three statements are correct. Sickle cell anemia is inherited disease, definitely, and this is caused by a faulty gene which is called as hemoglobin S. If suppose two faulty gene comes in a child, one from father and one from mother, then also sickle cell anemia can take place. Or suppose one is a normal gene from mother or father, or another hemoglobin S, then also sickle cell anemia can take place. And it's called as sickle because the shape of the C-shaped farm tool is C-shaped structure it is, and this farm tool is referred to as sickle. That's why it's called as sickle cell anemia. And Odisha leads the country in the prevalence of this. No real reasons here can be provided because this is an inherited disease. So all the three statements which have been mentioned here is nothing but correct. 1, 2, and 3 would be the answer. And in the Hindu newspaper, you would have seen an article on H5N1. H5N1A is a virus which is responsible for causing bird flu. So I have drafted a question on H5N1. See, which one of the following statement is incorrect? Avian influenza is commonly referred to as bird flu. H5N1 virus not only gets transmitted from birds to humans, but also from humans to humans easily. Recently, human H5N1 cases have been reported from British Columbia, Canada, and California. And PB2 E627K mutation has been identified in H5N1 virus. See, if you look into the history of bird flu disease, which is also called as avian influenza, yes, definitely it is caused by H5N1 virus, where H represents a type of protein called hemagglutinin and N represents a type of protein called neuraminidase in the virus. And this was initially originated in wild ducks. So in wild birds it originated, but it's never found to affect the birds in the wild because the immune system of the migratory or the wild birds are developed again. But when against this virus, when this virus comes to suppose the domesticated bird, the poultry farm, then they would be affected definitely. They would be affected. And that's why it can be transmitted from birds to birds, but it can be also transmitted from birds to humans. But human to human transmission is very rare. Now we can see. That's why the statement which is wrong is B, because what I have written, H5N1 virus not only gets transmitted from birds to humans, but also from humans to humans easily. It's not the case. And recently, definitely, human H5N1 cases have been reported in British Columbia, Canada, and California. That's true. So the incorrect statement is B as such. B as such. And there are many modes of transmission. It can be through bird meat also, it can be transmitted to humans. It can be through eggs also, it can be transmitted. It can be through bird droppings, it can be transmitted. It can be through nasal secretion of birds, it can be transmitted. So all information about bird flu. Clear? Now this is the 5 questions drafted today for you to revise your newspapers or whether you have understood. It includes the contemporary part also and the static portion also. Some parts, backgrounds have been provided in a statement related to the news. I hope that would be helping you. Thank you so much.